Hello everyone, and welcome to Retro Brick Reviews, where today we'll be taking a look at LEGO Star Wars, set number 75269, Duel on Mustafar. This set is based on the climactic finale of Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith. It includes 208 pieces, 2 minifigures, and it retails for about $20 in the United States. And it is also being re-released as part of the Skywalker Adventure Pack Collector's Set, which also includes 2 previously released sets based on Star Wars Episode 4. But without any further ado, let's begin the review proper, starting with our 2 minifigures. Our first figure is Mr. Hello There himself, Jedi Master ObiWan Kenobi. This figure was originally exclusive to this set, though it has since been re-released, a fact that is quite unfortunate, as I'll get into in a minute. But for the purposes of this one set, I think that this figure is very good. Not perfect, but very good. Starting off with his accessory, you can see that he does have a standard blue lightsaber. It uses the standard blade and the standard hilt in the nice metallic silver painted color that I quite like. Of course, it's not quite as nice as the original chrome hilts that they used back in 1999 and the early 2000s, but I think it's still very nice for the current design, and probably a bit less distracting than those were as well. But just removing his blade to get a better look at the figure proper. Starting at the top with the hairpiece, it is the main standard LEGO comb-over piece that they've used for Revenge of the Sith Obi-Wan since 2012. And I think the piece still works pretty well for him. It could be argued that maybe they should switch it out for the newer comb-over piece that they've used on characters like Commissioner Gordon and Professor Slughorn from Harry Potter. But I think that this also works fine. But moving down to the face, that is an entirely new print that was made just for this set. And quite a good one, since the last major update to this era of Obi-Wan's face was in 2012, the same time they first introduced this hairpiece. And this version is somewhat unique, as it is the first Obi-Wan figure to have a somewhat scraggly beard, which you can see just around the edges of that print. And I'm honestly not entirely sure how to feel about that one specific aspect. Honestly, I feel as though the cleaner beard just works better for Obi-Wan's character, but I'm mostly indifferent on that if I'm being honest. But moving to the facial expression, we can see that this is actually a quite displeased Obi-Wan, which is not usually how you think of the character. You'd usually think of him as being quite just, stoic, and sometimes even quite quippy and fun. But I think for the purposes of what is happening at this point in the movie, this expression is very fair, and I think it is a fair likeness to actor Ewan McGregor. Not fantastic, it's not one of the best minifigure face prints I've ever seen or anything, which is a quality transition to one of the best minifigure face prints I've ever seen, or anything, where his alternate face, this is beautiful. If you don't recall from the movie, this is exactly the face Obi-Wan makes right after the conclusion of this duel, when he's lamenting everything that's happened to the now defeated Darth Vader, and this is just such a great face print, especially just for that line, "You were my brother, Anakin, I loved you." Like, that is such a great line. The ending of Revenge of the Sith has always been really sad to me, and this face is just such a wonderful encapsulation of everything that's going on there. It's just a really good face print with so much emotion in it as well. and it's not a face I would ever have expected to get on an official LEGO minifigure, so this is just incredible. But moving down to the torso, not quite as amazing. It is still a nice robe print. However, I will give extra mention to a very nice detail included on both figures in the set, where since they are fighting on Mustafar, you can see that they do have some singe marks on the robes, which is quite a nice detail. Sure hope they don't reuse these prints again in a set that doesn't make any sense to have singe marks. Ha 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 ha. Foreshadowing. But moving around to the back, you can see that the same goes through. It's essentially just a nice detailed robe print, but with some extra singe marks on it. And last but not least, moving down to the legs, they're the one part of this figure that I really don't care for, because while I think the prints are fine, I do not understand why they went with the light tan color for the base, because how it goes is that you have his tan robes at the top, then you see his dark tan pants, and then it just goes back to light tan? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Obi-Wan was wearing boots. And even if they're not going to go with, like, double molding, so we can't, and we're not going to have brown on the bottom, at the very least, his boots should not be lighter than his pants. And I don't know why they did this, because past variants of this costume used dark tan for the base color, where you just had the light tan robe printing carrying over from the top, and then dark tan pants and boots. It looked fine. They've done the same, but with medium nougat, and that's looked fine, so I don't know why LEGO went to light tan. I think it's just a bad look, and again, it certainly doesn't ruin this figure, but it definitely takes it down a notch, which is unfortunate, because that face brings it up so high. But through this segment of the review, I've alluded a couple times to this figure being re-released, and indeed it was, later in 2020, in the now infamous and infamously overpriced General Grievous's Starfighter set, where LEGO reused this figure verbatim, even though the face prints really don't work, because you need a smiling Obi-Wan for that scene, and the torso print definitely doesn't work because his robes were completely clean on Utapau. So, yeah, that was unfortunate, and just another strike against the set that is now infamous for inspiring the entire LEGO Star Wars fandom to go suddenly completely rabid over the idea of a Commander Cody minifigure. Good times, good times. But, honestly, I'm getting ahead of myself. All that's kind of irrelevant to this set in particular, where I'm just talking about this figure in the context of this one set, and for that, it's really incredible. The leg prints do have issues, but I think that the nice singe marks on the torso, in the context of this one set, and that incredible alternate face print really bring this up to be one of my favorite LEGO Star Wars minifigures of the last few years. Just bravo. Bravo to LEGO on this one. But that's really all I have to say, and all I have to gush about this figure, so now let's move on to the other really amazing minifigure we get in this set. Now, on the box, LEGO calls this figure Anakin Skywalker. However, we've all seen the movie, and by this point, he's too far gone. By this point in the movie, we're looking at Darth Vader. And for this variant of Darth Vader, I think LEGO did an equally good job, or almost equal, at least. Nothing quite as great as that Obi-Wan face print, but this figure is still very, very good. Starting off, he too gets the same standard lightsaber, which is still totally good. But moving that out of the way, you can see that he is using his Clone Wars hairpiece that was first introduced for Anakin in 2008. And this piece is fine. I'm definitely glad that they went with the classic reddish-brown color. Previous Revenge of the Sith figures did it in dark brown, which just is not accurate to Hayden Christensen's hair color. So I'm glad to get it in the lighter color, but I somewhat would have preferred if they'd gone with the Ninjago movie Lloyd hair in reddish-brown instead, because in Revenge of the Sith, his hair was longer than it is in the standard Clone Wars hairstyle, and it's just messier than this. It's because this piece is just, it's too angular for Revenge of the Sith. So I do wish they'd swap that out, but it's not a deal breaker. This hairpiece still works pretty well for him. But what works really well is this new Hayden Christensen Darth Vader face print. This print is great. Again, it's not quite on the same level of that ObiWan print, because that one captured both an incredible likeness and a great amount of emotion. This only really does the former, but for capturing a great likeness, this looks so much like Hayden Christensen when he's giving his death stare in the movie. Like, just the eyes and the little corners of the eyes, especially, the shaping of the mouth, the eyebrows. Like, I'm just naming things, but really just look at that face print. That is perfect for this character and the look they're going for. Just another incredible face print in the set. He also gets an alternate print, and unlike Obi-Wan, this face is currently still exclusive to this set. And the other side is why, and the other side is... I'll be honest, I've never really liked how LEGO does the yellow eyes on Anakin minifigures. I get that it's because they want to have them look the same as they do on Palpatine and on Maul, but honestly, I feel as though Anakin's eyes do look different from that. Primarily because of how much the orange of Mustafar is reflecting in them throughout the movie, but also because, like, he's been crying and his eyes also have a lot of red in them. I really feel as though you needed some red in this design, and I feel as though having them be entirely yellow with just the black pinpricks also doesn't really work. I think it would have worked better if they would have designed it more like a standard LEGO eye, just swapping out the black for, like, the flame yellow-orange color mixed with a bit of orange with a red outline. Maybe just have red be for the bottom line of the eyes? I don't know, but I feel as though you needed some semblance of those two colors in here and some more humanity in this print, because these really are just weird monster eyes and they really don't fit what he looks like in the movie. Again, like, it's a nice print to have, and I understand why LEGO's keeping it consistent with the other characters. I just don't think it really works for Vader in particular. But moving down to the torso, like Obi-Wan's, this print has been reused in another set from Revenge of the Sith, where it makes no sense in the 2020 Anakin's Jedi Interceptor set. And again, it is a very nice print if we ignore that, where it's just some nice Jedi robes, this time in Anakin's somewhat famous black, with just some scorch marks on there. And that extends around to the back as well, where you also have some of the nice gold and silver details on his belt that I've always liked. And then the leg print is one that's appeared a few times before. It wasn't made up for this set like Obi-Wan's was. And it's quite simple, just with a bit of dark brown printing on the legs to create the look of the trailing down robes and some folds. And it should be noted that the belt piece is actually in dark brown, but the legs are in black. That works quite well, and again, I wish they'd done the same on Obi-Wan, where they could have done the belt in light tan and the legs in dark tan or medium nougat, but they didn't do that. So overall, I think that this is another really great figure. Overall, LEGO just went above and beyond with the minifigures in this Duel on Mustafar set. It probably balances out to be slightly less than the Obi-Wan figure, but it's still a really great figure. And again, I feel as though just these figures alone make the set worth the $20 price tag. But, as we're about to see, the build definitely holds some merit of its own as well. Duel on Mustafar. You're smaller than I expected. And, yeah, that is definitely the one immediate issue with this set. Simply that this is the first set in 8 years at all, and the first dedicated set in 15 years, to be based on what is arguably the biggest and most epic, to use a trite word, finale of any Star Wars movie, and LEGO chose to do it as a little $20 set. I mean, I feel as though Mustafar could easily have been a massive playset, but for the little we did get, I think LEGO did a pretty good job at choosing what to include. Starting off with the feature that immediately confused everyone about this set. Much like the Duel on Starkiller base set that had released the prior year, this duel set is able to hinge open and around so you can change the angle. The only difference being that this is a really weird feature, and I don't know why you would do this. So really, there are only 2 ways you can display the set and not have some weird triangular lava gap, where for one, you could put it like this, just connect it end to end, and you have a connection point here, where you could set it up like this and just have this very long and thin display, which doesn't look terrible, but there are definitely some problem areas. But the way I like to display it and how I'll have it set up for the rest of this video, and just how the play features work best as well, so just the overall best way to have the set is to connect it up like this to create this more square dueling area. And this is good for a couple of reasons that you'll see. For starters, I think this is just the most complete way to have it, because instead of having just some thin little strips of lava, here you could legitimately look at this and kind of see the lake idea, where you just have this massive lake of lava that the duel is happening on and over. But for starters, you can see that one of the main features of the set is that you have these 2 lava platforms, which of course calls back to the duel in the movie during the part when Anakin and Obi-Wan are trying to escape the collapsing facility whilst also trying to kill each other. So Anakin takes a ride on a mining droid, and Obi-Wan finds a little mining platform to stand on. And they pilot them towards each other and clash in that way. So what you can do is you can take Anakin and stand him on top of this little mining droid build. Note that there is only 1 stud on top. And just looking at this build, I think it's pretty nice. Definitely a bit short compared to what we see in the movie, but for just having it be a platform that already has somewhat of an elevated base, I think they did a good job at capturing the essentials. We have the purple eyes, you have the grabber arms, as well as the roller skate pieces used to nice effect. And then over here, you can put Obi-Wan on his platform, where you do have a little bit of controls here at the back, and then you can just have them put up their sabers, and they can clash. And these are designed not only to rotate back and forth, as you've been seeing, but they are also able to slide. So you can have them like floating and sliding around, just like in the movie. And they both slide back and forth on a basis of about 8 studs of lateral movement. So you can just take one in one hand, one in the other, and have them fight and try to knock each other off. As prior mentioned, Anakin will usually be the loser because he is only attached with 1 stud, which, considering the outcome in the movie, does make a lot of sense. However, I feel as though just for kids playing with this, it might be better to just grab a second jumper from your collection to put there to make the fight more fair from that perspective. But yeah, you can very easily have Anakin fail the duel due to overestimating his own power. Although, one notable thing that obviously doesn't entirely apply to this scene in the movie in particular, but is just very awkward in terms of iconic Star Wars lines, is that in this set, LEGO made the horrible, irredeemable mistake of giving Anakin Skywalker the high ground. Let me repeat that. Look at this. Look at this height difference here. They gave Obi-Wan the low ground and Anakin the high ground. That's treason, then. But, yeah. But being serious, I really do like this play feature. I think that for a $20 set, this was definitely the best choice to go with for capturing an important part of the duel. But we're not done yet, as there are still a couple more features and a couple more elements to the set. Starting over here, where you have this little area with some rocks around it, you can see some transparent studs, and you can just push on this little button here, and it will fling out 3 transparent orange studs, which you could see as being sparks or just little bubbles of lava. But either way it works, because, again, in the movie, you had all sorts of lava flying everywhere and all sorts of sparks. Honestly, it's a miracle that Anakin and Obi-Wan only ended up with a few singes on their robes. But yeah, so that is another very simple feature, but it's a very nice one. And over here, just in this little area, you can see that you have some rocks over here with a fire, as well as just over on this area as well. So you could say that one of these areas, probably this one, because it's just a bit beefier, you could say that this is the high ground. So you could just set Obi-Wan up on there, and then you could take Anakin and just sort of set it up like this. Yeah, that is... I think that's an alright look, not fantastic. I wish that they had put a little bit more, a few more pieces into making a dedicated area for the high ground, but I think this works well enough as just a makeshift area. And obviously it is LEGO. If you wanted to add some of your own pieces to build this into a larger and more complete high ground diorama, you definitely could. But giving Anakin his lower body back, we do have a bit more to go over with this build. Because over here, you can see that you have another fire coming up from a little bit of rock. And then here we have the big mining tower that we see in the movie and that they fight on top of. And this has a feature where it is connected by a Technic pin, so you can just have it upright and then have it fall down into the lava. And now this piece, it prevents it from falling more than 90 degrees. However, you could just angle this to have it go down further until its lowest point, which is right about here. So, of course, if you wanted to, you could just pose your figures up, fighting with their lightsabers on this tower as it collapses, and I think that this is another fun thing to include. It definitely takes up a good portion of the pieces, but I think it's necessary because, you know, it's a simple thing, but it adds a lot of structure to this set, where otherwise you would just have a lava river with some droids floating on it. This adds some much needed just locale and just structure to the set. Overall, like, this is definitely very minimized. It's definitely very toyified compared to what we see in the movie. It's a lot less epic, but overall I do think that this is a pretty good design from LEGO. I think they incorporated most of the iconic elements from the Duel into one very small set. And hopefully another 15 years from now we will get a larger version of this scene, but for right now, I'm pretty content. So before we wrap up, let's take a look at the extra pieces, and then I'll give my complete final verdict. This set actually includes some fairly neat extra pieces, where some highlights include we get a lightsaber hilt, we get one of these printed control pad tiles, we get a black stud with a hole in it, which is still a piece I like to get a lot of, even as they've become pretty common in the last few years. We get an ice skate, as well as one of these Exoforce hands. And then aside from that, just some nice transparent pieces as well. So those are the extras. I think it's a good selection, but now let's move on to my final thoughts on this set. So, would I recommend LEGO Star Wars Set 75269, The Duel on Mustafar? Short answer, yes, because this set is really fantastic for $20. You get two absolutely incredible minifigures that by all accounts should be exclusive, but they're exclusive in my heart because they are just so perfect for this scene, with face prints that are perfectly based on specific moments. And the torsos are very nice and scene-specific with those scorch marks and burn marks. And then the build itself is quite nice. I know that it's gotten a fair amount of hate, but I really like it. I think that the play features are very fun. The specific areas they chose to include were good choices, and with just all of the transparent orange pieces around, it really does look like a lava river, which I didn't make much mention of in the review of the specific texture, but yeah, like you have some trans yellow as well, but primarily just you get a lot of 1x2 tiles in trans orange, and it just looks really nice to just have all of this lava detailing. I think LEGO did a really good job with the idea of making a really small Mustafar playset on an affordable budget. And if you're at all a fan of Star Wars Episode 3, which I am, it's my third or fourth favorite movie in the saga, but my top four are all movies I really love. So I would definitely recommend this set if you're a fan of Revenge of the Sith. And hey, the ObiWan Kenobi show is coming out soon, so maybe also get the set for that, because this is a very easy way to get a really good minifigure of Obi-Wan. Yeah, just an amazing set based on a great scene. I think LEGO did a good job with this one, especially with those minifigures. But thank you all so much for watching this video, and for right now, this is Retro Brick Reviews, signing off.